New Steam data reveals just how poorly Dragon Age the Veilguard did. The game was not even in the top 50 Steam top sellers chart for 2024. In fact, it got beat by the likes of Hogwarts Legacy, which came out last year, Elder Scrolls Online, and Final Fantasy XIV, as well as others. Again, not even in the top 50 top-selling games in 2024, according to Steam. Roll this up over at phantompulse.com. You can find the link in the description below. I encourage you to head on over, become a paid subscriber. Help support us in fighting back against this woke ideology that is infecting the video game industry and is trying to destroy our culture and society. So, Steam released this best of 2024 charts, and obviously they have a number of different categories, one of them being top sellers. And they note that those top sellers are based on total gross revenue earned from January 1, 2024 to December 15, 2025, or excuse me, 2024. Obviously, it wouldn't be through 2025 because that hasn't happened yet. It also separates the games into 4 different buckets. Platinum is 1 through 12, gold 13 through 24, silver 25 through 50, and bronze 51 through 100. And inside these buckets, the games are randomly sorted. So let's just head on over here and look at this best of 2024 chart. You can see Helldivers 2, Power World, Counter-Strike 2, Black Myth Wukong, Space Marine 2, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, PUBG Battlegrounds, Dota 2, Destiny 2, Elden Ring, Apex Legends, Baldur's Gate 3, all in that platinum bucket there, the top 12 best-selling games or top-selling games on Steam. We get down to the gold one. You've got First Descendant. You've got this one here, Naraka, Blade Point, Throne, and Liberty. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, FIFA 25, Enshrouded, Path of Exile. I think that's Path of Exile 2. FIFA 24, Dead by Daylight, Warframe, Cyberpunk 2077, and then you've got War Thunder there in the gold. So that is your, 13 through 24. And then in silver, you've got Dragon's Dogma 2, you've got Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, Lost Ark, Diablo 4, Rainbow Six Siege, Forza Horizon 4, The Elder Scrolls Online, Lethal Company, Final Fantasy 14 Online, Manor Lords, Once Human, Red Dead Redemption 2, GTA 5, Rust, Forza Horizon 5, Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, Stardew Valley, Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut, Grand Blue Fantasy, I think it's Relink? Yeah, Relink, Hogwarts Legacy, Gray Zone Warfare, Call of Duty Warzone, Tekken 8, Last Epic, Fallout 76, and Stalker 2. So that is your, 25 through 50 right there in the silver bucket. Dragon Age the Veilguard not on the list whatsoever. You have to go to the bronze bucket to find it, and it's right here in the bronze bucket. Unclear exactly where it is in this bucket, right? Because it's randomized. Don't really know how far down that list it is, but it is interesting the games that it is around in this bucket. Again, we're looking at like Battlefield 2042. This game came out in 2021? So 3 years ago. We're looking at the first Path of Exile came out in 2013. Civ 6 came out in 2016. RimWorld came out in 2018. No Man's Sky came out in 2016. So you're looking at games that are a couple years old now that are still bringing in as much or similar revenue or even more revenue than Dragon Age the Veilguard. Fallout 4, 2015. Hades 2 was a new game this year. May 6, 2024. Crusaders King, another one, 2020, right? Euro Truck Simulator, 2012. Hearts of Iron 4, 2016. Monster Hunter World, 2018. Stellaris, 2016. Sea of Thieves, the 2024 edition, is obviously around there as well. Metaphor of Fantasio, that did come out earlier this year. We know that it did at least 1 million in its first 24 hours. Because that's what Atlas sells, is best-selling Atlas game or quickest-selling Atlas game. Total War Warhammer 3, 2022 is on there. This one is really interesting. Monster Hunter Wilds. It doesn't even come out till February 2025, so 2 months from now. And it's in this bronze bucket. So it is possible that Monster Hunter Wilds actually has brought in more revenue than Dragon Age the Veilguard. Now, my guess is that Monster Hunter Wilds is probably lower on the list, but it might be pretty close. I mean, there are lots of people who were playing the demo or the little test that they had earlier this year, like massive amounts of numbers. And I think they did the test at the same time Veilguard did, because that basically rebuked the narrative that, oh, well, it's Halloween, so no one's playing. And then you see what the Monster Hunter Wilds numbers were, and it was like 300,000 peak concurrent. Dragon Age of Veilguard didn't even do 90,000 all time. So you just had a test for Monster Hunter Wilds, and it was already doing something like 300,000. So it is possible that Monster Hunter Wilds, which doesn't come out until February 2025, has brought in more revenue than Dragon Age the Veilguard. So this is all really, really bad for Veilguard. And it's not surprising, though, right? We did get this report from Christopher Dring, the head of games industry. He was looking at the European sales chart during a recent episode of the gamesindustry.biz microcast, and this is what he said. Dragon Age the Veilguard, which came out at the end of October, that was number 19 in the best-selling new game chart, but was number 68 overall. Interestingly, he does note that Black Myth Wukong and Palworld were not on the European charts. He cited because their digital sales data had not been provided, so it's highly likely that Dragon Age the Veilguard is even lower down that real list. I mean, obviously, probably in that 70th position at least, and 21st position for a new best-selling new game, 70th overall. Even he had to say this too, right? He had to comment on this. It was Christmas, and in terms of AAA blockbuster, the traditional big blockbuster games, you had Call of Duty, which did well, and you had Dragon Age, which did not. So that is disappointing in that position. Dragon Age had the market to itself, and it couldn't find an audience. So even Christopher Dring admitting Dragon Age had the market to itself and couldn't find an audience. That is damning. That is damning right there. And then obviously we can go back to this interview that Dragon Age the Veilguard's game director, who's a man pretending to be a woman and uses the name Corrine Bush, gave with Eurogamer. Bush was specifically asked this: how has the commercial response to the game been? I've seen stories about sales, and they seem mixed and conclusive. The game seems to be doing okay, but struggling to keep pace with Inquisition before it. Has it been a success from your point of view? How do you measure that? And then Bush gives all of these like non-answers here. There's 3 axes we can measure this by. What the team was able to do and put together, the pride that they can take in that. Every game that is made, especially in the AAA space, where you're talking hundreds of developers, timelines, it's a miracle that they executed at quality internally. We consider that a success. Remember, the question was about what was the commercial response? How has the commercial response to the game been? 0 response to that. And he continued saying, we're very happy with the critical reception to the game. It's not common to have these challenging development cycles and have a team turn around and receive the critical reception that it did. In fact, in a lot of ways, that is the harder path to take. So yeah, we're quite proud of the critical reception. So trying to say that the critical reception was great, even though the question is literally about the commercial response. And then Bush finally gets to that commercial response and says, I can't answer that, right? He says, unfortunately, on the sales side, that's not something we can really discuss. But of course, as we know with Inquisition, that was a long burn to get to those total sales numbers. So basically saying, well, it could take a decade and maybe we'll get there. Numbers aren't really looking that good, though. So the evidence is piling up, clearly avoiding questions about sales data, being on like 70th on the European charts, and then being in the bottom half of the Steam charts, indicate this game was a massive, massive commercial failure for BioWare. And I think it does not portend well for the upcoming Mass Effect game. I do think that gamers now see BioWare as a company that is all about trying to push the woke agenda. They clearly tried to do that with this Dragon Age the Veilguard game, with the transgenderism. And I think they have a very, very steep hill to climb to kind of repair their own brand that they have self-sabotaged by hiring people like this Bush guy who is clearly suffering from lots of issues and injected that into the game to try and propagate his own failings onto other people and to try to get that to normalize it. It's absolutely sick, and that's what they did. And BioWare and the management at EA allowed this to happen. And given the fact that they've done that, I think it portends very well for Mass Effect, because if they did it in Dragon Age, why would they not be doing it in Mass Effect as well? But let me know what you guys make of this. Let me know in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, especially to each other, and to always, always speak the truth.